Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Business Growth Show, where we talk about all components of business and how to utilize them for exponential growth. My name is Athin Cassiotis. I'm a serial entrepreneur, international speaker, results strategist, business coach, mentor, and consultant. Today, I have an awesome guest. He has 18 years startup experience as a serial entrepreneur and is currently the founder and COO of SignalWire, which is the world's largest telecom platform. Their technology formed the backbone of modern communication applications like Amazon, Netflix, and Zoom. He has extensive expertise with SaaS, which is software as a service, network security, communication, and VoIP, which is voice over internet protocol. Welcome, Sean Heiney, and thank you for being on my show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the Business Growth Show.
Awesome to have you here, man. It's going to be amazing for everybody today that's watching and listening. So, you're a very successful entrepreneur. So for those people who don't know who you are, please introduce yourself by telling us about you and your journey.
Yeah, so kind of been in tech startups since before I left school. I had a small community ISP that I grew, and a hosting company back in my, when I was 12 to 18. And then I started a SaaS company that did managed vulnerability scanning in the early 2000s, software as a service before that term was even around, and sold that to Silicon Valley company. And then went out in Silicon Valley and joined a company called Barracuda, and was the product guy there, launched a bunch of our products through IPO. And then wound up working on kind of the next generation of communications technology with folks that I had met through my life that were building just the next echelon of technology here. Yeah.
Awesome, man. That's it's amazing. I love that, you started at such a young age, at 12 years old. And then, you obviously hear these stories. Sometimes it's people selling lemonade, in a stand, but obviously yours is a little bit different with already getting into those things.
Yeah, my lemonade was a dial-up bulletin board. We could dial in with your 1200 baud modem and, download a photo or play a text game. But yes, same deal.
Cool, man. Very cool. I'm sure would have loved that at that age. So, and then obviously you've grown a lot. It's amazing. So you've obviously led, developed, launched, and marketed new products with, the Barracuda networks. And to my understanding, that's over 300 million in revenue and IPO, which is massive. And then, you've also built and sold security, SaaS company, Periskin as well. So
yep.
Yeah, it's very impressive. So, what were some of the biggest challenges you had in making them happen?
Yeah, I mean, different challenges at different phases of my life. I think, when I was a teenager, just having adults take you seriously, growing up in the Midwest. I mean, maybe in the Valley that was more common, but, in the Midwest, if you weren't a suit and, 50 years old, you probably didn't know what you're talking about. So that was, ageism was always a challenge initially in my career. And then, just getting access to tech, like actually being able to, kind of build the ideas that you're able to come up with and execute on them, and convince folks to build your dreams. I mean, that's always a challenge for someone that doesn't write code themselves.
Yeah, awesome. And yeah, definitely it's becoming a lot bigger because obviously the tech companies now and everything, the SaaS companies and everything have massive potential if you have the right ideas and the right backing with investment and things like that. And obviously, I'm assuming you haven't done it by yourself, because obviously you're saying you're not the coder. You would probably have other founders or people that you've done stuff with. Is that sort of being, I guess, strategic in working with certain other people to have complementary?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the whole picture. I've throughout my life, I've partnered myself with folks that complement my skill set. And like I said, I'm kind of more of a product guy, business and marketing guy. I'm very technical, but I don't write code. And so throughout my life, I've paired up with highly technical folks. And over the last number of years, I've been working with my partner at SignalWire, a guy named Athin Cassiotis, who wrote, most of the code that's in most communication devices. He's kind of the genius in telecom. And we've worked together to kind of get this tech out in more people's hands over the last few years.
Yeah, I love that. And I could actually see some similarities with you and me when I was working previously at my big environmental company, Veolia, and I would sort of be the middleman in between IT and the business, where I didn't code necessarily myself, but I had the technical understanding of how things
You could
work.
translate.
Yes. And that's funny, isn't it? Where there's IT speak, which is very technical, especially for the rule of left brain analytical people, and then you've got the business people who are like, well, what are you trying to say? Can you simplify?
Right. That is a skill set, and being able to apply that and apply that to technology to solve problems. That's product management.
Definitely. And obviously, you seem to be the master of that with, all the amazing things that you've done. So, and let's touch on a little bit about, for everyone that's watching and listening today that don't know much about VoIP. So maybe explain a little bit more about it, and I guess the market shifts in that area as well.
Yeah. So telecommunication is a gigantic part of technology. I think it's about a third of all IT spend in the world. So we're talking about massive markets. And amazingly, it's very lagged. The technology behind the telecommunications is surprisingly lagged. Like, I'm sure a good portion of your listeners, at least the ones in the United States, might have a copper pair of wires coming to their house still from the phone company. And if you were to follow that pair of copper wires, you would go over to what's called a central office or a CO. And inside that CO, you'd find gobs of cables and, these things they call switches and weird sort of stuff like remnants of the 70s still there. And, step to like a Fortune 1000 technology company, you got the same thing. You open up the closet and you find a bunch of Cisco stuff or a bunch of stuff in a communication cabinet, still kind of on this old mindset. And it's unfortunately, communication is kind of the last thing to kind of move up to the cloud. Like when's the last time you ran your Exchange server in your own environment, or you don't run your own mail server anymore. No one runs their web servers at their own place. I mean, every piece of technology is essentially moved to cloud. Yet we're still in this world where there's copper cables and communication closets. So that this is a market in transition, and where SignalWire comes in is we are the reimagination of that entire infrastructure as cloud native, as something built for this century, and not for American telephone and telegraph.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I love that. And it's funny, even in Australia here, we have a lot of, copper wires still going into places. And definitely that work as well. I'm just reminiscing of the good old dial-up days of internet when it first started and using that.
Isn't it amazing? I mean, I reflect on this just recently. Like, isn't it amazing that you have a phone number? Like, you've got a, I don't know, 10, 11, whatever digit phone number. And this is the code that people use to call you, but you're not going to answer it. Like, there's no way you're not going to actually use it to talk to them. But somehow there's still this remnants of, Murray 426 and the operator plugging in the different, and that's still how we communicate with each other. It's just baffling. And even text messaging, like SMS, this is 1990s, like 1989 technology, still 150 characters or whatever, like still used. Amazingly lagged behind. And what we've done is we've delivered a platform that can deliver, high fidelity audio, high fidelity muxing, 60 frames a second, 4K video. Actually, the tech that can deliver a modern experience in telecommunications is stuff that we're doing with our platform.
Yeah, that's amazing. And what I really like about it as well, and it's funny, I think the last 20 years of tech has really gone leaps and bounds, and there's still a lot of older people in the world though, and a lot of people don't like to change very quickly. So that's, I think, one of the biggest things, right? With
yeah, I mean, I don't know where you stand on Microsoft Office, but I have the good amount of folks in my company, especially the older folks, are very upset with me because I've banned Microsoft Office. I actually blocked the Microsoft extensions at the Gmail server, because we use Google Docs. Like Google Docs is there, it's cloud native. Like I like to be able to collaborate with everyone in real time. I know Office is probably there now, but like philosophically it's banned. But these folks like just can't get off PowerPoint, just can't get off Word. And my running joke is that we've banned both Microsoft Word and Corel WordPerfect. So if you want to use either of those, they're not allowed in SignalWire.
I love it, man. Well, sometimes you got to make bold decisions in business, right? To move forward, even if it's going against the grain. And as entrepreneurs and someone like yourself that's built a lot of these things and taken a lot of risks and backed yourself, you are going against the grain a lot, right? For everyone that's listening and doing all of this sort of stuff, and you have to back yourself in these things.
Yep.
When most other people are probably saying, don't do that, it's stupid, you'll never make money, all these excuses, right? And
someone has always got a different idea, and they're most always wrong.
That's right. And I think that's the real power of mindset, right? Is really understanding that and working that on yourself. And I'm sure it's, helped you along the journey of ensuring that you've been successful as well.
Absolutely.
And so if we go a little bit deeper into SignalWire, tell us a little bit more about, like, obviously it's an amazing platform. You sort of said all these things that you can do with it. How can that help us as people that want to get involved and use it in our businesses or lives and everything like that?
Yeah, so there's a couple pieces of that. So fundamentally, we're an arms dealer, and we equip the product companies of the world with the technology to make awesome products. And so if you're into building something cool, or if you have a software product that uses voice or video, like we are the folks to talk to. Like we will make that experience something next level than what people are used to. Now, because we have this bleeding edge stuff, and I know we're not using it here, unfortunately. So you'll have to believe me when I tell you. But I welcome you to come enter my virtual office sometime. We've had to, because our tech is so different, so next league, we had to build reference designs to show people what was possible with our tech. So we built a reference design called SignalWire Work, which uses our technology to build a product that's intended to be a virtual office replacement. So we use it internally. It's the concept of always on video and rooms, and be able to see all your coworkers all the time and pop in and out and have informal conversations and, experience high fidelity audio. And we have all these tools that make it kind of fun to interact with your employees. So that's a reference design, and that has a lot of legs. We're selling that through resellers. And for folks that are looking for, Zoom isn't doing the trick. Like Teams is not doing the trick. Like that world of always living in scheduled conversations only isn't doing the trick. Like we've got a pretty popular niche with that reference design, because I'm sure you realize, and I have to articulate it because people haven't spent a lot of time thinking about it, but some of the net loss in your post-COVID world is a lot of communication that wasn't formal. If you think about when you walked into the office before and you saw your coworkers, maybe you saw your coworker at their desk, you could see, are they upset today? Do they look super busy? And you walk by your next coworker and they're sitting down with your boss and they're in a heated conversation about something. You're like, oh, I hope that's not about something I've done or whatever. And all that stuff added up, like all those little informal, nonverbal, sometimes verbal, ad hoc moments that add to the net efficiency in our traditional world are lost in the world of, I'm going to talk at 11 a.m. on Zoom, and at 11:30, I'm going to talk to Joe. And, like that's just, it doesn't work for people. And I think not only from a psychological standpoint, but just interacting with our humans, it's unsatisfying, but just from a productivity standpoint, it's changing people's, the concepts of the way they interacted with coworkers.
Yeah. So many amazing points there. And I completely agree. It's, I remember, even when I first started working for my own business, and you start by yourself a lot of the time, right? And you're just at home or whatever it is before you grow, and you lose that bit in the office, that water cooler conversation, so to speak.
Yep.
Where, you go down there and you just meet someone, and whether it's someone that's just in a similar position in the team, it could be a senior level manager, right? And
right.
you connect with them, and it's like I wouldn't get that opportunity, right?
No, and those moments, like, luckily I haven't had to live in the Zoom world because I'm living in SignalWire. But I talk to all my friends that are, and I hear about it. Do you have those moments where, the kind of creative moments where it's not necessarily the agenda isn't itemized? And like when I work, I'll just sit and work on as if I'm in my desk, and someone will pop in and we'll have a side conversation, and they pop out, and just this stuff that just isn't, it's hard to describe, but it's just not enabled by this scheduled world. Yeah. I think it's bringing people down. Like, I think from a mental standpoint, I think this formality of like only talking about what's on the agenda and stopping at a specific time, it's so unhuman.
Yeah, definitely. And like us humans, we all crave connection, right? So I think like face-to-face connections becoming even more wanted, right? Because we're like in this world where a lot of things are locked down depending on where you are and stuff like that, and what we can do, or there's a lot of tracing and all these things, so there's a lot of fear as well like that. But it's, that's one thing. But then if you still can't catch up with people for whatever reason, then we need that other element, right? Where we can still connect with people, where it's not physically. And I really love that you guys have created that experience, to really, get people in there. And yeah, it sounds amazing. I really, love that you guys have gone, how can we recreate that? And, because, think about it. When you have an office, right? Like if people are just working from home and they're doing Zooms, a lot of it comes down to building a culture in a business, right? And you can't do that if you're just on a Zoom, just in a meeting and everything like that. If you don't have an area where it's either it's a physical office, or it's something like what you guys are creating, where you're creating that culture where people can have those conversations and really, spur each other on and things like that as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so powerful. So with you guys, obviously you're doing some different things, right? Out there, which is amazing. So I guess what are you offering to businesses and things like that gives them like a competitive advantage, I guess, to other people?
I think if the business is looking for something to augment the gap left by the virtual world, I think that's where we're popular. There's definitely some niches that are emerging. For example, we rolled out to 300 day traders in a 30,000 person conglomerate because they were used to sitting on a floor and being able to yell across to each other like throughout the day as they were doing the very high velocity, low latency trades. And scheduled meetings didn't do the trick for them. And we've a lot of sales organizations where you have SDRs or outbound sales folks or inbound sales folks, and you need to be able to keep your thumb on the heartbeat of what everyone's doing, and you need to be able to pop in and monitor and do all those things. Like that's a pretty popular use case. Because of the technology events, and this was a surprise to us because we didn't even market or advertise it. We marketed this virtual office product, and about a third of our leads were actually for people trying to run live events, because the experience for live events is so horrible, just horrible. I'm sure you and your listeners have experienced a lot, an event. You've done a virtual event or whatever. And there's almost no value in doing it live because you're just basically watching some video of someone talking. You're not interacting with them, maybe text, but it's super unsatisfying, and you're not interacting with an audience. You're not experiencing the event with other people as if you were in a live event. So that's, live events are super painful. And, what we've been able to do is kind of mimic the real world, and where the audience hears each other and sees each other, and the performer or the person on stage feeds off the energy of the audience. They can see if they're looking at them. They can see if they're interested. They can see if they're losing them. They can laugh together. So yeah, surprising to us, our tech has enabled live events to be a lot more satisfying. So just about every major live events company is talking to us in some way about how to get our tech into their platform right now.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I'm going to be doing, more live events this year and everything like that. And, I've been to others, and, basically Zoom's become a household name, as you would know, right? Where everyone's just,
Right.
it's blown up. And don't get me wrong, it's a great platform from, I guess, other things of what we had right in the past to be able to connect and things like that. But it sounds
It's better than WebEx.
Yeah, definitely. And I like the fact that, Zoom and stuff has little things like breakout rooms and stuff. But like you said, it's a bit like you just got a chat screen. You don't have as much of that interaction. It's hard to get that, I guess, everybody, especially the audience, involved, so to speak, in that.
Yeah. Next time you run a live event, let me know and I'll hook you up with our team, and you can experience SignalWire and actually experience your audience. There's a guy, I don't know if you watch CNN, guy Michael Smerconish from CNN, has this morning show on CNN. He's got quite a loyal fan base, and he's doing this with like 400 people regularly, talking, smoking cigars, hanging out with 400 of his fans, having intellectual conversations and introducing, he's got a documentary he introduced them and they watched together. We have a watch party mode where you can kind of watch a video and actually talk over it. And all this stuff is previously wasn't enabled by technology we make possible right now.
Yeah, awesome, man. I love that. I love that they get involved, and I think, and that's entrepreneurship, right? It's like there's always a better way of doing things, and as you and you're a testament to this with the different companies you've worked for. It's all about solving problems, and you're looking at going, okay, this is the problem that we have about connection. How do we make this a better experience? So that's really awesome, man. I look forward to testing it all out, and I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Everything. So
I love the feedback too.
Yeah, definitely, man. We'll do. And I think like one bigger thing, I guess, that's coming out a lot as well is cybersecurity, right? It's becoming a bigger thing now in the world where we've got to be a bit wary and stuff like that, a bigger challenge. So how do you guys, I guess, combat that with your business?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've seen security come up in the context of video conferencing software. Over the last year, there's been a few major events. One of our competitors is actually one of their executives under indictment by the FBI for allowing foreign states access to their technology. So security is a big concern, and SignalWire was built by the ground up with security in mind. And we do have a kind of a special niche with government customers and healthcare and high security environments, because we support a mode that allows customers to deploy our technology within their own private network or within their own cloud. So we'll just say a high secured government agency doesn't want to send their data to a foreign state, or doesn't want their conversations traversing over the internet and make it susceptible to interception. So unlike a lot of cloud-based platforms, we can hybrid or deploy fully within a secured environment so that data never traverses. Separately, a big problem for a lot of video conference software has been exploitable software or vulnerabilities within the software. So you're aware of the SolarWinds problem with the federal government and foreign states installing software. One of the video conference platforms recently had a vulnerability that gave remote attackers access to their camera whenever they wanted. That's an interesting one. So we decided we didn't want to have to trust native software. So we support all web-based experience. And so if you trust your browser environment, if you trust the environment that you're putting your social security number into, or your tax documents, or your financial data, or interacting with your bank, that secured environment, you trust Chrome, you trust Firefox, you trust Microsoft Edge. We run fully contained within that. So you don't have to install any SignalWire software. We don't install binaries on your computer. So we never get a chance to get remote access to your camera, and we never get a chance to get access to your data on your computer because we're not installing code. We run within a browser. So that's a huge benefit for a lot of folks interested in security. And yeah, it's been something that's brought a lot of customers to us.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's very powerful. And, for those folk that maybe are a little bit less technologically, uh, have that awareness, I guess, is, obviously there's different platforms, right, that you can have on servers online and things like that, right, where you can use like Amazon, AWS, and all these other things, right? But they're a little bit more out there, I guess, in what it is. So, what Sean's saying is if you really want to have something local to where you are and be able to control that without it getting out, then, for them to be able to, actually deploy within that is massive
It's pretty unique. It's pretty unique.
Definitely.
Most of the video conference platforms are, we're cloud centric as well, but they don't allow you to deploy within a contained environment because they're so complex. I mean, to make, say Google Hangouts work, it's probably no fewer than 1,000 different servers and different data centers and things. And, we were designed to be able to run on hardware in a cell tower or on a Samsung phone or on the tiny little booger of hardware. And so because we're platform apathetic, we can end up deploying in anything, in government cloud or on an Atom-based Raspberry Pi or something.
Awesome. And I guess, if you're obviously building this out and you're getting a lot of different verticals and different people coming to you, which is amazing, a lot of different spaces. So there's probably a lot of opportunity, I would say, already and what's happening compared to that. So I guess, where do you see it going in terms of, SignalWire and I guess its strengths or what's possible, out there?
Yeah, we're not even scratching the surface. Our vision is that this world of communications, we talked a little bit about this legacy world of communications. Our vision is that goes away and something much more modern replaces that. And that's what we want to be. We want to be that infrastructure that's there, the glue that connects everyone and the technology platform that enables it. And so you'll see, convergence of a lot of this technology. I think you've probably heard the buzzword, and it's an old one, unified communications. I mean, people have talked about that forever, this concept of unified communications. It was a pipe dream that no one ever achieved. Can you imagine having one way to communicate with people? One just doesn't exist. But we're getting closer to that pipe dream because, in a prototype, in an experimental world in SignalWire, we've got a video conference going, and then we've got the technology to just transcribe what everyone's saying in real time. And then off to the side, you have a chat window, which also has the text-based chat. And then you can go back and rewind the conversation. So, you want to watch a video, you want to listen to audio, you just want to read it, all of the same data in the same place, searchable, indexable. Like, you start to imagine that world. And then imagine a world where everything you say, or maybe every gesture you do, is programmable. Even to detect the intent of your word by things like tone or the speed of your voice. So I can tell, hey, you're pissed off, and so I'm going to do something based on that to make you happier programmatically, like just with our software. So this world, this crazy world of bringing telecommunications into the programmable world and being able to manipulate that to make applications is just emerging. And the stuff that people are going to do with that will be completely changed from the way we communicate today. Yeah.
I love that. It's such an amazing vision of what's possible and that journey that we're all on. And really happy that, yourself and your business is really helping foster that.
It's amazing how lame things still are. I mean, I don't know if I use Bank of America, which is on the technology front way up there. I mean, they've got the ATMs that you just put a wad of cash in and it counts it for you, and they've got the leading stuff. But if I'm talking to, I need customer service for my bank, and I'm on the app and I'm starting with the chat, and it goes to, oh, we can't help you with this on chat. You need to call this number. And then I click that, and then I'm calling this 800 number, and then I wait in a queue again, and then I talk to an agent that has no idea what I talked to on text. Like, the context isn't there. This glue, there's just such a divide between the communication world. It's incredibly lame. And ultimately this goes away. So the agent will know what you said in text. The agent will know. They will have full context of this single stream of communication.
Yeah, I love that. It's, in my head, it's almost like you're hybriding this technology, communication platform with almost like a CRM type thing, where it's like, but it's just people in general, right? It's like we're all connected. It's like, we're in an information world, right? It's all on our fingertips. Let's aggregate that so we can make the best decisions.
Right. Right. And it's our challenge to pull that world of voice and video into that programmable binary world. So the programmers and product builders can dream up just crazy things.
Yeah, I love that. Who knows where it's going to lead, but it's funny, right? There's you look at a lot of sci-fi movies and things, and there's a little bit of these people think that, when we see sci-fi movies, 20, 30 years later, they actually come true. And to something that is true. It's interesting, isn't it, with where it's going?
I rewatched Demolition Man recently. Do you remember that one at all? Yeah. Like Elon Musk tweeted that out the other day, like rewatch it. I'm like, I haven't seen Demolition Man. There's a lot of communication elements in that, a lot of essentially FaceTime type things happening. And that's worth rewatching because they actually got a few things right. Just like Back to the Future got a few things right too.
Yeah, I love it. It's so interesting and unique, and I think, as entrepreneurs, right, we have to think bigger. It's not like what's possible now. It's how do we want it to be, right? And then go, okay, how do we work backwards? Like, what is the experience? What is, what do we want to achieve in this thing? It's not like what is it right now, right? And then that's
it's especially if you're chasing a big vision, a big problem. You can be an entrepreneur and just kind of optimize on something existing, but that's not super exciting. It's not the stuff that I've chased personally. It's if you go after the big things and you take a really big swing, just a massive swing, even if you don't end up connecting fully, if you take the big swing, you're gonna make more of a jump. Like if you're just aiming at some little, I can achieve this thing, it's better to take a big swing and you fall back in a much better place, even if you don't hit it out of the park at the moment you think.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess probably the financial backing probably comes as a big thing as well, right? When you're dealing with tech businesses, or like what you've done. You've obviously done been very successful in the past with what you've done with the IPOing and everything like that. So have you had to get a lot of investment for this in like many rounds and stuff like that, or have you been able to sort of work this yourself with your founder and other things like that? How has that sort of worked?
Yeah, so we're venture funded. We're classic Silicon Valley, and I can take your listeners through a little bit of it, but there's a road in Palo Alto, California, called Sand Hill Road. And on Sand Hill Road, there's every venture capitalist firm you've ever heard of. And yeah, we spent some time in the valley, and we went out and met VCs, and we raised, I believe, a $12 or $13 million Series A, and we're in the middle of raising a Series B right now. And ideally, you don't want to give up part of your baby, but making a deal with venture capitalists, especially Silicon Valley venture capitalists, really have methodology that can accelerate the adoption of your business. And when we're dealing with, hey, we make video tech in the middle of a pandemic, we have no time to waste. Like, time is of the essence. We need to reach as many people as we can right now and grow as fast as possible, because it's a real land grab for the future here. And high risk folks in Silicon Valley are like those types of bets, and they believe in what we're doing.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love it, and it's very powerful. And like you said, technology changes so quickly. So if you were going to try and do this yourself, it could take you 3, 5, 10 times as long potentially, right, to get there. And by that time, there may be another company that's got a lot of funding that's delivered something similar, and you've sort of I guess missed the boat, right? So that's why.
Absolutely. I mean, timing is such a huge element of the success of any startup. You could be early, like Webvan. I mean, that's the classic from the 90s and it blew up in the .com bubble. They had grocery delivery. what do you know? I mean, that tend to work out. I mean, it's out there now. They were just about 15 to 20 years too early, and timing is everything.
Definitely. Yeah, so powerful, man. And I'm sure you guys are going to continue. So, and you're still at an early, like, technical investment journey, right? Because, you know, for a lot of the people that may not know a lot about investing that are watching and listening, you know, a lot of companies normally go potentially towards like Series F and before they go to like an IPO or something like that. So it's, you know, there's a lot of funding rounds, and obviously depending on when you get in is different prices and different percentages and a lot of different stuff like that. So
Yeah,
are you
we're in
guys?
what's called a growth mode, where essentially the funding that we get will essentially allow us to scale up and grow faster.
Yeah, awesome, man. And this is basically the vision to really make it really big and take it to that IPO level again, or?
Yeah, just imagine the size of the competitors that we're dealing with. I mean, we're competing with everyone from Microsoft to Deutsche Telekom to Comcast, you know, just gigantors in this telecom industry. And we have great tech that they all need. So we'll see how it shakes out.
Definitely, man. Well, what I like from you guys and way you've, I guess, built this is you can go from multiple angles. Like you can help build the tech for certain businesses, but you can also go direct to people and do it like that. So you're sort of from a back end or front end type element, which I guess gives you flexibility in terms of, you know, you've got a lot of markets. And I think, you know, with anything, we need multiple streams of income, right? If you just got one source of income, then there's risk there. So by you guys,
Absolutely.
you've diversified very well to set yourselves up.
Yeah, we have the API product line that's programmable. That's more kind of an enterprise product building. It's a long sales cycle. It's a 3 to 6 month sales cycle. It involves multiple conversations and architectural review and technical planning. Where on the work and events type products, that's more you can get it and run with it, go, and a lot more kind of self-service and high velocity sales cycle. Typically we can close it in 15 minutes.
I love it, man. It all makes sense. And a lot of people think that a lot of people are sort of self-made these days, which is unrealistic in this world, right? We all learn from other people. So have you had, along your journey, certain coaches and mentors and everything like that have helped you to grow in different ways in, I guess, life or business to help you along your journey?
Yeah, I don't know if I've had the kind of formal, mentor in the literal sense, but I've been fortunate enough to be surrounded by very good people, and coming from the Midwest and then going out to Silicon Valley, that was better than any MBA or Stanford education, just being thrown in the deep end. And I've worked with some very successful entrepreneurs, like in my early 20s, the folks that were getting Barracuda going. I learned a ton of stuff from them, and I got to participate in growing a company from very small to very large. And that was a very educational experience. And then I've had the fortune to work with some very good product folks. One of my good friends went to MIT, and he's definitely at like next level intellectualism than me. And I've learned so much through his experience, like going through the formal world. And I mean, I surround myself with very smart people, and I'm constantly learning from them. And I think it's a critical part of an entrepreneur's journey is finding the right people to put yourself around, because you certainly aren't going to be able to do it all. And these people are going to carry your vision forward.
Yeah, I love that. And it's really like the power of relationships, right? And whether it's a formal thing or whether it's an informal thing about, being able to bounce ideas off people and learn from them. And I think there's obviously some merit in learning things the formal way, the MIT way or the MBA way. There's some good core knowledge there, but
absolutely.
But at the same time, probably even more important is the actual real life experience, from people that either doing it yourself and learning from them within the business, or that you have advisors and stuff like that. Because that's actually the stuff that works. And what are the issues that pop up, right? Because it's not like a smooth sailing upwards arrow, right? There's a lot of bumps along the road.
Absolutely. And in software development, this kind of division of personalities exists as well, because you have the academic programmer. These guys went through the 4 to 6, 7 years of school, and they learned in a very rigid system, and they learned methodology from academia, and they're great because they plan things out, and they're very careful, and they architect things. And man, are they slow. It's super slow. And then you have like the hacker, the kid in the basement, the guy he's just throwing stuff together whatever fast as he can to make it work. And really in programming, you're probably one of those too. And in a perfect world, you're combining. You have the academics kind of keep the hackers in line, and the hackers make the academics move faster, and it all works. And I feel like, at least in my scenario, business is kind of similar, where, personally, I fit more of kind of the hacker mentality. I'm more of kind of an X factor person, and I need those academics around me to be successful. I need their skills to augment lack of skills in those specific areas that I would never be great in.
Yeah, I really love that. And there's also different types of entrepreneurs, right? Like you said, like, you and me, we're probably more of the visionaries, the people that have the ideas and we want to roll with it. But then we also need like the taskmasters, the people that make sure the structure is there, make sure there's risk management happening and things like that, so that you don't just go full bore. You've thought about these little things and still going quite quickly, but you can make sure that it's there's not going to be any issues further down the line, because putting the foundation strong is really important, for something you're going to grow it really well.
You're absolutely right. And double click on that for scaling. Like, if you don't have that thing sorted, even if you've figured out a successful little thing, you got to make it big, and you got to have that stuff in place.
Definitely. So, and we're talking about like, it's not always easy, right? In what we've done, and you've, I'm sure, had a lot of challenges. Maybe what's one of the biggest challenges or failures, whichever way you like to call it, that you had, and maybe how did you overcome that, so that you can tell everyone, that it's not all rainbows and butterflies.
Sure, it definitely isn't. And I remember even as a kid, before I started this like big entrepreneurial journey of life, I remember thinking, I don't even know where I read it or whatever, like probably Byte magazine in the 90s. But I remember reading a profile on Silicon Valley entrepreneurs, and it was some BS that like it took 10 startups to get one successful or something. And for whatever reason, that stuck in my head. And I was just like, I just got to nail through 10 of these, and one of these is going to hit. And so I started that journey. I started just knocking them out. And they all don't work. I think one thing I learned, which I learned through experience and over time, is to fail fast. People say that, but you can pretty much tell based on the patterns I've seen. You can pretty much tell if something's going to work. Like, definitely there's challenges to making any startup successful, even with a solid idea and a solid go-to-market and a solid product market fit. Still challenges. But the ones that I've had that didn't work, I could tell pretty fast. And that's it's an emotional thing to say, hey, my blood, sweat, and tears, I'm gonna chalk that up. But you have to think of opportunity cost and the amount of time that's taking away from you from doing something else that might be wildly successful. So I've had those moments, and the things that have brought me to failure have been different. I mean, sometimes we talked about a little bit, timing is a lot of it, and either too early or too late to make an impact has happened, or being able to actually execute on the vision is super hard. It's easy to come up with an idea sometimes, but to actually formulate and execute it and to motivate other people to execute it can be super hard. And if your vision isn't right, it's going to make it much more painful to motivate those folks. So I've had that situation where, just like the vision wasn't in sync with everyone, and it wasn't motivating enough to get everyone on the same page. These are all challenges, but I think when you find a great idea and it excites a passion in you that will make you keep running fast when it's something good, and these things that fail, I found that I didn't enjoy it well before it was clear that it was going to fail.
Yeah, Awesome, man. That was an amazing segment there. And I definitely recommend everybody to go back and watch and listen to that, because very, very powerful words on whatever stage in your entrepreneurial journey that you're at. It's really important to ensure we succeed, because we all want to grow. We don't want to contract. And I guess finally, if there was one key piece of advice that you give to all the entrepreneurs listening, whether it's what you do or if they're just generally wanting to grow their business, I'll just leave the floor up to you about what would you like to say?
Yeah, I've been asked this before, and I realized that it's quite cliche, but it happens to be the biggest blocker for me personally is just getting started. I'm sitting on at any time I'm sitting on a pack of 100 ideas, and probably 10 of them are decent. And if I only executed on 100th of them, I would not be working still today. But, actually having the conviction to follow it through, to take the risks, to actually get started and move forward, I think that can be the toughest step. And once you get over that, it's a lot easier, I think. And that's the biggest challenge, I think, for me. And the entrepreneurs that are at the edge, they think they've got a concept or a business and they're passionate about it. And, they're thinking, oh, do I leave my cushy job? Or am I going to fail? Are people going to see me fail? Don't worry about any of that. Just go, just run. If you want to be an entrepreneur, just run and do it. If you fail, that's fine. Do it again. Do it again. If you do it 10 times, according to that article I read in 1990, you're going to be fine.
I love it, man. So amazing advice there for everybody. Just keep going. You never fail, right? If you keep going. So that's always going to be, you're always going to succeed in the end. So, we met through our networks where I learned about your amazing journey of growth and transformation, both personally and globally. You're a powerhouse serial entrepreneur with awesome results in all of the businesses you have started and worked in. And, you're a great guy, and I'm sure you'll continue to make the world a better place. And I look forward.
I really appreciate the conversation. It was great.
Yeah, awesome, man. And I look forward to work with you in the future. So, it's been amazing to, have you here and spending your time with us and all the listeners and watchers here today. So, how can people find you or get in contact with you?
Well, if they're interested in SignalWire, either from a product perspective, they got a vision of building something, maybe they're an entrepreneur, want to do something with communication, check us out, signalwire.com. And then if you're a business facing a problem with how to interact with your remote employees in this post-COVID world in a way that's more human, check us out at signalwire.com. And any of your listeners can get a 30-day trial. You don't have to give us a credit card or billing information or anything, but just let you play with it for a month. And if you want to keep using it, you can. But I think playing with our technology, getting your employees to embrace this always on video remote experience, I think if you get them to do it, you'll find that it's much more satisfying, and you'll regain some of the loss of efficiency that you've seen in this Zoom world.
Yeah, so amazing, man, and I'm looking forward to it, to trialing it out with one of my live events that I do soon, and I'm sure it's going to be an amazing new experience for myself as well as everyone that's going to be participating in that as well. So awesome, man. So thank you everyone for watching and listening to this show where we talk about everything on business growth. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube as Athin Cassiotis. So visit my website, athincassiotis.com. I completely agree with you, or do I? The only way we know is if you tune in next time. So until next time, remember that our business grows when we learn skills and take action using them in spite of fear. Have a great day.